So the next thing I wanted to talk about was praise and self-efficacy. Self-efficacy being how competent an individual feels in their given context, and it is task specific. Maybe it informs their self-belief system, the ability to execute a behavior when they want to. I thought that a drug has efficacy also is how potent it is, how effective it is, and self-efficacy, how effective an individual is in their given context, whether that be teaching, whether that be their job, whether that be their physical training. And I said, if you have a small square that represents your current competency, your coach, teacher, or manager would create a set of competencies for you to try and achieve. They want you to be more effective, more competent in the given environment. So they must set the right goals and have the right sort of expectations about what is capable of the learner. And the learner must move through a zone of proximal development, which means where are the realistic goals? Where are the right areas to focus on to be efficient and not be wasting time putting a lot of effort into the wrong things? So this is the zone of proximal development, and what is the learner able to do, and what can they do next to improve, to develop that competence. Yeah, so choosing which skills are most important to focus on would be the role of the superior or the mentor, guiding them towards being more effective in their environment. So as teachers, we have in-depth grading criteria, so we know what to monitor and observe. We know exactly what skills are most important. Of course, curriculums differ and ideals differ about what is best, but generally there are key skills, key points to focus on to develop. And yeah, the same in managing, the same in coaching. So clearly demarcated set goals and key skills to work on. So social learning theory, this is the idea that we learn from each other through observation, imitation, or modeling. Also that, this process of self-efficacy and an individual's feeling of how competent they are can be measured, and it can be measured qualitatively. So are you confident in your ability to achieve goals? Do you tend to focus on progress, sorry. So that can be measured in that way. There's different tests to do that. And again, that would inform the skills that would be set and the goals that would be most realistic for the person and the type of learner they are. Yeah, so we're just talking about how we need to apply and reapply these processes, and practice lies on a continuum of focus. So although the goals are set, it depends on the individual, it depends on their self-efficacy, it depends on the different ideas and beliefs that they have that would inform how hard they focus on their goals. And yeah, that's completely individual. But it is important to remember that within that there's even more differentiation, because people practice and experience completely differently. So this is a nice theory about deliberate practice and how skills and your training can be completely different. How a person practices can be completely different. An example here is, okay, one person is just listening to music and they're playing their piano. Then the other person is playing a piece of music whilst thinking about how to execute the performance, and they're maybe thinking about an imagined music experience as well. You can be practicing on the piano and imagining being in the crowd, imagining there are crowds being there, an audience being there. That's far different from just playing it kind of, like I have to complete this piece of music. It's way different if you can have an imagined music experience as well. So people practice and train completely differently. I guess that's something that differs between different levels of expertise. So, yeah, so I'm talking about how people tend to have some desire towards their learning. So, what influences them to move up this hierarchy of expertise? There must be some sort of model that relates to the social learning theory. There must be some sort of model that they're exposed to. They must be exposed to something that they want to be like, or they see something and they are driven towards or their their own goals. So competency differs, of course. We're drawn to different things that would relate to personality and how people understand and their capacity to understand. Again, maybe it's that something represents uh, something completely different to a person. And I said an in-depth understanding of specific aspects of reality massively impacts what we experience and how we see it. So again, that's to do with exposure and perhaps who they are exposed to, how someone experienced the situation, and then that would affect what we, as well as personality and what resonates with us, would all factor into how we learn, what we choose to learn, and how that experience is for us and what it means to us. And how do we learn through observation? And I talk about mirror neurons and um, how it relates to observational learning research, which is associated with self-awareness as well as theory of mind relating to empathy and understanding others. So much of the research is speculative. We can get more than a gist of what an individual is doing through observation. We can watch and retain, imitate for ourselves. It would depend on the complexity of the skill, although many factors may be unknown to us, or how difficult it would be to master. We at least understand that it is possible. So I'm again talking about we're exposed to something, and through maybe these mirror neurons that we can get more than a gist of what that experience would be like, and maybe that's why people become so immersed in learning specific things. And I talk about evolutionary biology. Oh, this is talking about like imprinting. So, of course, there's different meanings for what that is. Um, but the way I was talking about it is like in birds, the birds can learn songs through imprinting. So, they're basically exposed to a model which affects their behavior. So the baby songbird learns the song from the mother songbird or the adult songbird. They're exposed to a model, and there's some form of learning that takes place after being exposed to the model. So, and I'm talking about how that process may be also bonding. So there may be bonding in that. I'm talking about motivation and belief can influence the learning process. Perhaps a role of a mentor is to fulfill this. Um, oh yeah, like that makes sense. I guess I'm talking about, you know, when we're talking about these expectations that people have or setting these targets for competence, of course, how can you know what is best for you, what can be most effective in a given context? If you have a teacher that's been teaching for a long time and they're highly skilled and in a top school, doing all the things right, and they've been exposed to so many different teaching styles and curriculums and teachers, they're going to know where is best uh, to focus your attention and what expectations to set for you and what goals to set for you, because they know what the effective context is. Um, whereas for you to set your own goals would maybe be wasting time. And yeah, so I talk about practical application, smarter principle, Vygotsky's principle for zone of proximal development, positive reinforcement cycle, having the correct information, choose the best mentor. Why is it all important? Locus of control, external locus of control. Yeah, like it is about, some people believe they have no control over a situation, and other people feel they have control over a situation. So self-efficacy is really important for developing self-belief models and feeling like you have control over your world and your circumstances. And this is the little red person is what is he? Internal locus of control. He's saying, I make things happen. I can determine my future, blah blah blah. And someone else, things happen to me. I'm unable to change things. So why bother? Blah blah blah. So it's but the main thing and the main important thing is that having the right set of achievable goals and not developing this sort of learned helplessness, but focusing on the right things and seeing the right results, not focusing on the wrong things, not seeing wrong results. And it's all down to a lot of different factors.